All right, what's up, you guys? Molly Van Marth here. I am a fitness and health coach for executives and business owners. And today I've got Brian here with us. Brian is my client, and he just wrapped up 16 weeks of his own custom tailored program. He did a really great job, got some great results, and I just wanted him to come on and share a little bit about what it was like, what he learned. And I guess, Brian, maybe start off with your results. What did you see happen over the past 16 weeks?
Yeah, well, I mean, I saw a lot happen. Uh, Down over 20 pounds, gained a lot of muscle. Um, Waist went from 42 inches to 38 inches. Um, just mood though, and kind of mentally in a much better place. I think when I started and reached out, it was actually more driven on just feeling bad and just not um, being confused about what to do, why to do, when to do, where to do. All these uh, you know uh, all these information sources just being totally unclear about a process that would work, because I felt like I was lost and kind of down on myself about it. And um, and this just was different, and felt like it worked for me. It was a big commitment, um, but the results speak for themselves. I'm thrilled that it was a custom experience that really helped me physically and mentally. And um, it's just, I feel like it has set me up for kind of a perspective that I know that this is a path that is going to be something that I can continue to follow, and continue to see results from for the foreseeable future. So yeah.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of good points there. I remember with you coming into the program, you just wanted to make sure it's not that you were afraid. You were just wanting to make sure that you were going to be investing in something that had the chance to work because you had tried things before that hadn't. And you just wanted to make sure, which is hard, right? When you're trying something new, it's really hard because you haven't gone through the process yet. And I'm sure, any of us, when we're investing money, we want to make sure that we're being wise and it has a chance at being different than what we've already tried in the past. So I guess like thinking back to things that you had tried before that ultimately weren't a solution, what were some of those things that didn't work to
Yeah.
get you the results you're looking for?
Well, I think one of the biggest things, I mean, for about almost 2 years, I had a personal trainer at the gym, and it felt like I was just not seeing major improvement. I kind of landed on, listen, it's there to keep me accountable so that I continue to go. I was kind of like, if I'm investing in it, that's my motivator. But I certainly wasn't seeing progress. And and in fact, I was still just like really not feeling great. And then came holiday season, and I just ended up stopping because I wasn't necessarily seeing progress. And then I just ballooned from there, and I just kind of went down a real bad path. And so um, it got to the point where I needed to try something that was significantly different from just kind of showing up. It was just oriented in data, that was measuring progress, that um, was also like more diet driven too. I think that was really probably the biggest thing that I hadn't truly unlocked. And being able to, I hate tracking long term, candidly, but I am a data nerd, and so I enjoy kind of that process and seeing the direct correlations between, oh wow, yeah, I had this type of macros, and I see the correlation on the scale the following couple days. And um, being smarter over time based off of that information was really great. So um, yeah, I mean, I think again the main thing was was the diet thing, and really understanding, and the power and the importance of protein and chasing protein, and that being really kind of the ultimate game changer.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think people need to hear that too, because so many people have signed up with personal trainers thinking that the solution is just commitment. And, it's easy to say, especially when you're a driven person and you are willing to work hard, it's easy to just say, if I keep showing up, eventually I'll get there. Um, and that's a great attitude to have. That's the right mindset. But the truth is, if you don't have a plan that is built to transform your body, you can show up as much as you want to, and your body's not going to change. So that was one of the big things that we looked at before we even started, is once we dug a little bit deeper on like what that training plan looked like when you were with the in-person trainer, we could see that it wasn't really organized. It wasn't ever really going to give you results. And I think once we looked at that, that gave you hope in saying, okay, if I try something different, which this program was different, right? Your workouts were set up in a very logical, very structured way in order to transform your body. And that's why you got results. And then, once you showed up for those types of workouts, you did see a transformation. And like you said, our metric for is this working or not, what we were looking for in terms of deciding, is this successful, is the transformation, not are you showing up to your workouts. So yeah, big difference there. And then, yeah, in terms of the diet, I guess, had you tried anything before this with diet that didn't work? Like, what was different?
Well, I mean, I had certainly tried tracking calories before. I think the main difference was the amount of protein versus other macros, and the reduction of fats, and um, you know really just, I mean, that I think was the biggest thing, was um, getting the shopping list, understanding, okay, this is the types of protein that I found really valuable, going to Costco, going to Sprouts, or whatever, and texting you the shopping list that I was looking at, and getting that feedback where it's like, oh no, this is actually, a little bit too processed, or this is something that actually I love. You should totally get that. That kind of feedback was really helpful. And that, became something of, now I understand what to look for in labels, and um, that unlocked a lot.
Mhm. I think it's really important, even if it's just a few times, to be able to have that back and forth dialogue of understanding in real life situations and real life scenarios what the right choices are to make, and not just like what foods to buy, but why. That's the big difference between getting a meal plan and just that. Then when you get a meal plan, really your only strategy is you're either on the meal plan or off the meal plan. There's no way that you can like critically think in a real life scenario. The difference of what we did with you is we had an open conversation about it where I was able to tell you why I was telling you to eat things or avoid things, right? So that way, once I was able to teach you the why behind that shopping list, then you were able to take that why and apply it to, going out to eat. Um, Going grocery shopping on your own again, and you also traveled a bit. I guess that would be probably
Yeah.
good to teach on, like, tell us a little bit about your lifestyle. Cause I think people who, watch these videos when I post them are wondering, is this guy like me? Okay. That's kind of I'm looking to also
Sure.
drop 20 pounds. I'm also wanting to tone up and gain muscle, but like, is my lifestyle anything like his? So yeah, tell us a little bit about like home life, work life, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have seasons where I'm traveling a lot, a couple weeks at a time, and hopping from hotel to hotel, and it can be really, really busy. I've got a business and a family, and there's a lot of demand on my time, and so to make sure that I've got a program that is self-managed enough, but also optimal enough for me to do it when I can do it, was really important, and still see results, right? And so, um, making sure, and again, a lot of that was just, how can I how can I do something that already kind of fits into the fold of a day to day, regardless, so it was kind of creating those habits out of something I was sort of already doing, but just making slight optimizations um, that worked really well. So, like, for instance, if I were, we're at a hotel, we would take a look at kind of the gym there and see what equipment they have, and if we need to make adjustments on that, I would get feedback there. So that was really helpful. And but just it was flexible enough where um, it factored in a little bit of grace, right? Where if I couldn't, you know, get the best thing or whatever, like we would then discuss, okay, yeah, like I was in that situation where, all they had at this conference mixer were a bunch of sliders and, but we took the buns off and we went for the, at least the meat part, like stuff like that, that at least, but then we would identify like, cool. And that's why we saw, this result change or whatever based off of that experience. So it's just getting smart about it, I think, that way, and trying to, again, fit this program into stuff that's already kind of happening.
Definitely. Yeah, it is really important. And for people to know too, because I think people just wonder, what's it going to take? Here's my goal. Is this achievable with the kind of lifestyle I have? What's it going to take? And I think that the biggest reason people fail ultimately is because they don't even know how to make the next best choice, right? Like they don't have any plan. They go on work trips with no plan, no guidelines, nobody to ask questions, right? So as you've seen, even if it's not perfect, if you have some kind of flexible guideline to go by, if you're able to ask some questions here and there, that's always good enough, right? To make progress through this. It's when you have no plan and no way to get answers to your questions that people fail and aren't able to make progress. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. No, I think there's something we said about being directionally correct. And that was kind of the thing where knowing that like life can get in the way and you don't always have like the perfect choice or whatever, but it's okay. Like you can, like, there's some days that you just can't track and whatever. That's okay. You'll start again tomorrow. And like, I candidly, when I started and I was so down on myself mentally, having that ability to just be okay with screwing up sometimes, knowing that, yeah, I'll start again tomorrow. Like that was great. And that was really helpful. And that allowed me to not fall off the wagon. If that
your
makes sense.
mindset changed a lot. And I remember
Yeah.
in the very beginning, and again, it's fair, right? Like if you've tried before and it hasn't worked, it's fair to be hesitant about trying again. But I remember telling you, like, if you do this, I want you to be all in as if it's going to work. And you did that. So that was really cool to see. And it's also important, I think anybody else that like goes through this process, it's important to take action, even if you're not sure if it's going to work. It's important to take action first, and the belief will come after you take action and after you see progress. Then the belief comes, and then you believe it with your action because you see that it's working. But it's like so important, right, to take that first step in just like taking action, because like you are not going to get the results until you jump in. So
Yeah.
it was really neat to see. You said another thing about like I don't necessarily enjoy the tracking. But I know also in the beginning of the program, I let you know, I was like, hey, this is based on data, right? Like we are not going based off of feelings. I'm not going to get together with you on these meetings and be like, hey, what can you remember from the past week? Like it's really important that you're willing to track your food. And so anybody watching this, for you to be successful with this, you have to be willing to track your data. And that's why a lot of people fail, is because they don't know what they should be tracking, or they've tried tracking before and it didn't work because their targets weren't set up properly. But so much of this process is based off of data, so that, and this is kind of the point that you're at now, so that you can learn a style of eating, get used to what should be on your plate, and then you can do it intuitively. Um, and I think that has been really fun to watch you start to understand the style of eating, and how this is really the path to freedom, right? Is tracking data, understanding the way that you should be eating, and then you can run it intuitively. And a lot of people, I think, sometimes are afraid of data because they've had a bad experience with it before, because they haven't been instructed on the targets they should be aiming for. So no wonder they don't like it. Or some people are honestly just not cut out to achieve great things with fitness because they don't like data. And just truthfully, if you're not someone who likes data, this is probably just not for you. But yeah, it was neat to see you like have those aha moments of watching how hitting the right targets really does equal progress. And yeah, you've just done a great job with learning the whole style of eating. So it's been neat to see you run it intuitively too.
Thanks. And I'll add that like I'm not done tracking in the sense of uh based off of the progress, right? Like if I weren't seeing the results that I continue to see, I would go back to identifying kind of what's going in the system to see these outcomes of like, okay, yeah, maybe the scale isn't moving as I wanted it to, or muscle tone or whatever isn't, appearing as I wanted it to. Cool. Let's take a look at now. Let's track for a few days and reevaluate and reassess. Right. So I know that that's there for me when I need it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's the other really important thing for anybody, right? To walk away with. If something's going to be worth your time, obviously, like part of the process was me mapping out your plan from week to week because you are busy and that's something that should be outsourced, right? Like that's for business owners and executives. If you're not me, which you're not, you have other things to do, right? You've got a family and you have a family too. That's important. Even just besides your job taking up a lot of your time, you have a family on top of it. So for you guys, the plan should be outsourced. But at the end of it, you also should be walking away with a skill. And that really comes down to, again, it takes meetings over Zoom. It takes some mentorship. You should have some open dialogue. And I think a lot of people are missing that these days. Even with online coaching and consulting, I think a lot of that is subpar in terms of like the support that people need. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. Very proud of you. I'm thrilled with your results. It's been a great process and you've just been wonderful to coach. And yeah, can't wait to see where you take it from here.
I appreciate it. Thank you very, very